Our World Cup preview daily videos have made it all the way to Group B, farther than I ever expected. This is a group that is so ridiculously entertaining with interesting ties. You've got England and Wales in there. The United States, of course, who famously beat England 1-1 in the 2010 World Cup. And then there's Iran, who's currently under a petition to maybe not even participate in the tournament, but right now they still are because there are mass protests at home, which go those people, by the way. If you want to know what's happening in Iran, we have a link to an article at the top of the description. I highly recommend checking it out, but I am certainly not the most educated person to tell you about what is going on outside of the fact that there are protests and FIFA has been petitioned to remove them from the competition. But we're not here today to talk about Iran. We're here today to talk about England, because England is the pot one team in Group B. They're the pot one team because they are white hot. Qualification for the World Cup seems to just not be a problem for England recently. They were particularly good. In getting to the World Cup, England won its first 5 matches, only suffering a draw against Poland away and a draw at home against Hungary, who's a real problem team for England overall. They scored 39 goals in 10 matches, had no problem, and qualified for the World Cup with ease. That's something that England, almost without interruption, has been doing since 1994, because England's made every World Cup since 1994, every World Cup since I was born, and I have a luscious beard now. But when looking at England's World Cup history, what's notable, other than the fact that they're one of the few countries that's won the dang thing back in 1966, is that in the last World Cup in 2018, England got as far as it's gotten since 1990. So this is a team that has a lot of players with experience getting all the way to the semi-finals of the World Cup. And if you remember correctly, England took the lead in that semi-final, a brilliant bend it like Beckham free kick from Kieran Trippier to take the lead against Croatia before the Croatian national team came back and won it in extra time to get to the World Cup final. They went on to lose the third place game, finished 4th, which is tied for their best finish since winning in 1966. A depressing sounding statistic for the people that essentially invented the sport, but nonetheless an encouraging sign, and it's not the only one. What's the other thing we look at when we break down these teams coming into the World Cup? What is their most recent participation in a continental tournament? For England, that's the Euros. And in the last Euros, they did well. Then they Englanded. A penalty kick loss in Wembley Stadium to Italy, but it was the first ever Euros final appearance for England, which feels like a mind-blowing stat, but it's actually true. In fact, they'd only ever made the semifinals twice before that. So you're coming off England's best finish in a World Cup since 1966 and England's best finish in a Euros ever in the last 2 competitions. What's that mean for the team going into this tournament? It feels weird to say, but England's in a golden generation right now. And that golden generation is led by Harry Kane. And while the perceptions of Harry Kane have gone up and down, he is widely considered one of the best strikers in the world, and he is England's bagman. And in my opinion, he is the person that holds the hopes of England entirely in his hand. In World Cup qualifying, England was great. It scored 39 goals. Harry Kane scored 12 of them. When England made the World Cup semi-final 4 years ago, Harry Kane was bagging goals. In fact, he won the Golden Boot. He scored 6 goals, more than anybody else in the tournament by 2. I get it. He's something of a penalty merchant. He certainly did that in the 2018 World Cup. But if he can find those goals and those incisive passes outside of the penalty spot, he is a player that's good enough to carry a team all the way to a title. And it helps England that in his club side, Tottenham in the Premier League, he is in form right now. I'm talking a goal contribution per match in form. 10 matches, 9 goals, 1 assist so far. And he does have to be great, but this is a golden generation for England because the players around Harry Kane are great too. They have quality in depth. Just take a look at their normal starting lineup. This is their last competitive game against Germany, a game I actually was able to attend. If you want to watch a video of that, the link is right up there. Raheem Sterling and Phil Foden flanking Harry Kane is a way that Gareth Southgate has lined his boys up a couple of times in their last couple of competitive games. Those 3 guys. Sterling scored the only 2 goals in the Euros group stage for England. He's somebody that does very well in the shirt. Phil Foden, of course, is a wonder boy. Behind him, you have an incredibly solid Declan Rice next to world-beating wonder kid Jude Bellingham. And then at fullback, in my opinion, you have probably the best pair of fullbacks of any national team in the world. In this instance, it was Reece James and Luke Shaw, but you also have Chilwell who can pop up on the left, and everybody knows about all the right backs England has down to Trent Alexander-Arnold. Unfortunately for him, because of the 5-2-3, he doesn't really have to play much defense. It's not really his thing. The only weakness in this lineup to me is the center back position. John Stones, always fickle with his fitness, is good, but Gareth Southgate's tinkered with Eric Dyer as he gets back in form. Of course, Harry Maguire is there, and he is essentially a walking meme. I don't think he's a terrible player, but he's obviously struggling right now. Kyle Walker got a lot of time there as well. I expect him to make those same appearances during the World Cup. But the depth this team has is ridiculous. Bukayo Saka is a world beater. He's coming off the bench. Mason Mount, very, very good. He's coming off the bench. Whatever you think about Jack Grealish, he's available off the bench, and he is really good. And his calves, even better. With all that being said, there's no reason England can't win this tournament, other than the fact that they're England and their form actually couldn't be worse. I would love to make fun of it, but it's not like the United States is on fire either. But just look at their last, I can't count, their last 6 matches. They've lost to Hungary twice, failed to win any game, and only scored 3 non-penalty goals the whole stretch. And they only scored 2 non-penalty goals the whole stretch, and those were both against Germany in the last game. England has to get out of the group or else the media will eat them alive. But if they maintain this form, it is totally possible that this group that has challenging pitfalls at each turn could trip them up. If they're able to find their form from their last 2 major tournaments, which this team has the same core as those major tournaments with a couple wonder kids just sprinkled in there, then England is one of the favorites, and that is an indisputable fact. I honestly think we will know early, but I'm betting on England winning this group. Gareth Southgate knows how to line up his team to not lose, and they have the quality to find the goal or two that's going to be able to win them games against teams that kind of struggle offensively. I really think Iran might be able to give them the best game if they are in the tournament overall, because they have a very talented front line with Taremi and Sardar Azmoun. Maybe those guys can create something. But England has to win the group, and if it does, it gets matched up with the second place team from Group A, which is weak. England's got a really nice path to the quarterfinal if they don't fumble it. And once you get there, we've seen what they can do. All they need to do is make a few more penalty kicks in the final, and football could actually be coming home. Or this group could turn it into soccer. We'll see. Now, this is a whole series, so if you want to keep the ball rolling, here is the beginning of my discussion of Group A. Give it a click. Come on, you don't want to stand up. This is your time. Keep binging. Yes.